everyone, welcome to 4sides with me Anjali. You're watching the special story from 4sides. The Eastern European country Belarus is celebrating its Independence Day on July 3rd. Russian President Vladimir Putin congratulated Alexander Lukashenko, Belarusian president, on the occasion. World leaders offered their wishes to the former Soviet Union country. Interestingly, this is the day that the current president has decided upon when he came into power. Earlier, August 25th was observed as Independence Day, where the country gained total freedom from Soviet Union in the year 1991. July 3rd was when the country was freed from Nazi rule. Why did Alexander decide on this day? Is it to gain Russia's friendship? As Alexander finally come out of Russia's shadows in his new role as negotiator with Wagner, here's the special report.
Belarus has centuries-old history of strife. A look back to recent history in the early 20th century, Belarus was under German rule, followed by Soviet Union for a short period before the Nazis took over. The following years of Nazi rule was the time when Belarus was one of the worst affected and has had a bloody history of Holocaust. The brutal regime of Nazis resulted in burning down of villages, deporting of thousands as slaves and killing thousands of civilians. It was on July 3, 1944 that the country was liberated from the Nazi troops, and this was towards the end of World War II. Alexander Lukashenko defeated the now democratic government in exile in what is said to be the first and the last free and fair presidential election in the country and came to power in 1994. The Independence Day was earlier celebrated on July 27 when in 1990 Belarus first declared its national sovereignty in a bid to free itself from Soviet Union. This was followed by celebrations on August 25th when in 1991, after the August coup, when the hardliners of Soviet Communist Party who opposed the then president of USSR's reforms that would mean less control over eastern countries failed, and Belarus declared itself to be totally free. Belarusian reformist leaders alleged Lukashenko to be in cohort with old communist regime and of bringing in corporate capitalism. They call this pandering to Putin and Russia for want of economic bailout, among other things. However, it's widely feared that Russia will only help in return for control over Belarus's oil refineries and gas pipeline network. Putin's earlier comments on how unification of two countries was possible and very desirable could be a death knell to the country's sovereignty if that comes true. After all, the sovereignty hasn't come easily for Belarus.
For long, the Eastern European country Belarus remained in the shadows of Russia and is largely considered as Vladimir Putin's puppet. However, lately during the Russia-Ukraine war and during the most recent staged rebellion of Wagner mercenaries led by Yevgeny Prigozhin, where he helped negotiations, the Belarus president seems to have found an opportunity to highlight himself, and he is not letting them go.
When Prigozhin and his troops started marching towards Russia, catching the Russian President Vladimir Putin by surprise, there was a deal that was struck. The Wagner boss would back off in return for dropping of charges and he would be allowed to retreat to Belarus. As the world was watching closely, the deal was negotiated with Lukashenko leading it, and he did not leave the opportunity to project himself as key to dissipating the tension. In a press conference, while claiming to be downplaying his involvement, he did declare that he was completely involved in these events. In speaking to Prigozhin and in getting the almost reluctant Putin to agree to the deal, he is making sure everyone sees his role. In the face of Putin's position that is now weakened a bit, how will this chest-thumping act of Belarus president pans out for his friend and beneficiary Putin, who has been with him for all times until now, even during his controversial takeover of power, has to be seen. Also, it is important to remember that Putin has announced the deployment of short-range nuclear weapons in Belarus as a sign of warning to the West. Glenn E. Howard, president of Jamestown Foundation, one of the world's leading research and analysis organizations on Eurasia, in his report published in September 2019 said, "No country better stands to transform the strategic military balance in the Baltic Sea region than Belarus." He mentioned that there were serious tensions between Minsk and Moscow stemming from Belarus's desire to secure its sovereignty and neutrality, while Russia seeks to more completely draw the country within its orbit and extract permanent military air basing rights from its neighbor. However, with Wagner troops within its borders, it poses more danger than ever to neighboring countries like Poland and Lithuania and the rest of Europe. This does dampen Lukashenko's claims and his trials to get away from the shadows of Russia. That said, the strategic location of Belarus gives it a geopolitical status that continues to be important.
Indian Foreign Minister Jaishankar too has extended his wishes to the Belarus president. India was one of the first countries to have recognized Belarus as an independent nation in the year 1991, and the diplomatic channel between the two countries has been open ever since, especially from 1992 when the Indian diplomatic mission was opened in Minsk in 1992. Belarusian Defense Minister Lieutenant General Krenin was in India this year. He met Indian Defense Minister Rajnath Singh on the sidelines of SCO Defense Ministers meeting. This meeting comes after Indian Ambassador to Belarus Alok Ranjan Jha met with the Foreign Minister Sergei Alinik over India's Shanghai Cooperation Summit's chairmanship. Both the countries are also looking at partnership in trade, economy, science, technology and culture. The country for all reasons is surely in limelight, and with its rich natural resources is surely a great ally, but will it be free of Russian control? Thank you for watching 4 Sides with me, Anjali.